we're back. Another edition of Boxing on the Go. I'm your host, Noel Muto. TryLossofy.com. Well, here we go, going into another week of this pandemic, the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. I don't know what else to say. Stay safe, everyone. There's not too much things to report on. A couple things. I got a couple things for you today. But nothing like any fights coming up or anything like that. But still some news in the boxing world. Also, UFC 249, what's going on with that. And we'll jump into some COVID-19 stuff after I talk to you about all this stuff. So just sit back and just listen. If you guys are working out, there's a lot of people that are stuck inside their homes. They are non-essential workers or business owners that were forced to close. I want to be real clear. I'm sorry. It's hard to stay at home. I'm an essential worker. I work for an essential business, so I'm not feeling what a lot of people are feeling with cabin fever and things like that. But just hang in there. Just wash your hands, sanitize everything, be clean. The less you go out for any kind of essentials, or bare minimum, or any kind of groceries, the better. And if you do, go out with some gloves and probably a mask at this point. You don't want to inhale anyone's spray, the sneezing, any of those droplets. All right. So let's get into it. We have Billy Joe Saunders trending on Twitter and the rest of the internet. Looks like he was suspended by the BBBC, also known as the British Boxing Board of Control. So, there was some criticism on that. There's, I think, Mr. Boxing Guru Sal, he said, oh, good, you're suspending him while there's no boxing on. Good job. And the most sarcastic way that you can think of course, that's a master troll right there, so don't get on his bad side, all right? Any of y'all. The reason he was suspended was Billy Joe Saunders made a video of how to beat your wife or significant other during this quarantine. There has been several news outlets, or at least in the U.S., I don't know if they were reporting about the world. I'm sure it is the world. Any countries or places that are subject to quarantine, lockdown, shelter in place, that there will be or already is a spike in domestic violence and child abuse, as far as hitting your kids and stuff like that. So, and the kids have nowhere to really report it, as far as the schools being shut down in a lot of places. So he made this video of like I said, how to beat your wife or significant other, with the heavy bag. I think he gave it just like a 1 and a 2, but step by step. It's like a right hook, like a jab and a right hook or something, right? Let's all be aware here. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're most likely a boxing fan, maybe a MMA fan, maybe you're neither of those, but most likely you're here for boxing content, anything related to that. So Billy Joe Saunders has a track record of self-destructive behavior. like videos including like a hooker and asking her to perform sexual acts with a stranger, or for I think it was for him or his friend or something, or either do that or go attack a stranger for some drugs, some crack or something, right? Okay. Also, telling his son to punch his opponent in the nuts at the weigh-in, I'm not sure who it was at this point in time. I'm not sure if it was Dave. I don't think it was David Lemieux. I forget who it was, but well, yeah. So there's those things, and there's he has many more other things, and I mean, he's apologized for his behavior on a lot of his mistakes, those idiotic things that he does. Just we live in a world also, that everyone gets offended for everything. I see the sense of humor in videos and stuff like that a lot more. I don't want to say a lot more, but they're different than a lot of the humor that goes on here in the U.S. versus like Ireland, Scotland, the U.K. All that stuff overseas, across the pond. I think you guys call it, like I think they call it like some banter or bint, something like that. Yeah, it's not anything I'd like to partake in really with my homies, with my friends, but I mean, nonetheless, that's it seems like Billy Joe Saunders, and I'm not defending him in any type of way either, okay? In these types of serious times, probably shouldn't come out with those videos now, or even if we were not going through this pandemic. But nonetheless, he did it, and he got suspended. I believe the WBO also suspended him or agreed with the decision by the BBBFC. And that's who Mr. Boxing Guru Sal. I believe he was he commented or retweeted and commented on the president of the WBO about how like, oh yeah, that whole sarcastic thing that I told you guys earlier. So, yeah. So I don't know. He has a type of sense of humor, or just, I don't know. He seems like an asshole. So, but I mean, it is what it is. That's his type of sense of humor. He's gonna apologize. He's gonna continue to apologize for these things that he does. Yeah, we'll see what happens in the future. I don't know if I doubt he ever changes. There's people that's just who they are, and that's just who they are. How does this affect the Canelo fight? I'm not sure on the rules and regulations of the British Boxing Board of Control. That seems like a New York Athletic Commission, Nevada State Athletic Commission. That just seems like the commission there, like as far as fighting there. It seems like it applies to his license there in the UK. I'm not sure how that affects fighting overseas across the pond in any other country. So that's where we're at right there. Also, I'd actually like to read you the official statement from Billy Joe Saunders. Okay. So he came out with this on Twitter, and I'm sure several other social media outlets. So it says March 30th, says official statement from Billy Joe Saunders. I would like to address the situation at hand. Let me firstly start by apologizing. there is no excuse for my actions. It was very, very, very bad, out of taste joke. I am a God-fearing man, and I do not condone domestic violence under any circumstances. When I created the video in poor taste, I never considered how people might interpret it, and instead was trying to make light of the very stressful situation we have all found ourselves in, and the heightened emotions of families being confined to each other's company. So, seems like he's quarantining and is kind of, just, his type of sense of humor, but I think also a little stressed out, being kind of like cabin fever, right? So, let me continue here. It did not cross my mind about the actual reality of domestic violence and its sufferers, and the second I realized it could cause any upset, I quickly took the video down, but unfortunately, with the way social media works, it spread like wildfire. I can't change that. I have and do wholeheartedly apologize. I can only take actions to help people, and I will be making a donation for my next fight purse to a British domestic violence charity to help victims and prevent future victims of domestic abuse. I will also host some self-defense workshops and seminars for survivors and current or potential sufferers of domestic violence. Unfortunately, I can't take the video back, but I can do my bit to help people who suffer or have suffered and become part of the public voice to prevent domestic violence and change future generations' attitudes, and that's what I am committed to doing. My sincere apologies, Billy Joe Saunders. Okay. Well, yeah, I think he pretty much, he put it out. If he deleted it right away, I don't have any way of verifying that, but, he realized he fucked up, and, well, we'll see how this goes. I don't know how this is going to affect the Canelo fight. Are they going to want to give him that opportunity with that, is it a signed deal? Is it a signed fight? Sure seemed like it was, but this was postponed due to the COVID-19 and coronavirus pandemic. So, Clarissa Shields, T-Rex, made a response video on how to protect yourself, just like Billy Joe Saunders' video on, like, if your man or your significant other or something like that, and don't quote me on this, on both ways how I've described these videos, and then she pretty much demonstrates pretty similar the way Billy Joe Saunders did. And I believe Heather Hardy showed her dislike for Billy Joe Saunders' video as well. I know Maureen Shea, she had response to Billy Joe Saunders and Clarissa Shields on, a lot of people were shitting on Shields for this. I believe the way she was just doing it, like, okay, if like your man tries to put your hands on you, it's like a self-protection, self-defense video, but she was standing up for women, it seems. So I don't think you could be too mad at her about it, but I guess the response was, I don't know. There's a lot of upset people. Maureen Shea, I know she shared her dislike to the video, just saying, that these two fighters are a bit immature, and, pray that nothing ever happens. And don't quote me again. Okay, I'm just summarizing. and pray for them to just mature up. And we're going through tough times, and let's hope that this never happens, because Maureen Shea was a victim of domestic violence. So when other people, when you were a victim of something, and some people joke about it or put humor on it, sometimes it can rub people the wrong ways. And Maureen Shea just gave a pretty reasonable, responsible response to it. Pretty. It was pretty black and white. So yeah. I do not condone any of those, any kind of domestic violence, any kind of violence towards women, men, or anyone. Just this is what's going on here. So, and like I said earlier, I don't think Billy Joe Saunders meant that shit. And Clarissa Shields is just in response, just like when a rapper says something that another rapper does not agree on, and then that rapper responds on a mixtape or some kind of other song, So, but it is what it is. So, moving on to UFC 249. Is it in jeopardy? A couple days ago, sure seemed like it was, because it said that Khabib Nurmagomedov was stuck in Dagestan in Russia, right? I think Dagestan is a province in Russia, and Russia has closed its borders to and enforced a travel ban in and out. So it seemed like Dana White is looking for a replacement for Khabib. Khabib said on his Instagram Live something along those lines. Just pretty much just saying that he's stuck in Dagestan. I believe he traveled from the United Arab Emirates to get to Dagestan. I don't know. Okay, we'll get into that right now. But saying that UFC 240, that he's pretty much stuck there, and that pretty much that they should look for a replacement, and UFC 249 can go on without him. So that is what that is, and it's kind of awkward to ask someone, why did you fly home? I'm sure Khabib has a wife. I'm sure he has kids. I'm not entirely sure on that. But just to touch on it, his parents are there. Okay, I want to go home. I want to stay there, and I'm sure they might quarantine me, but that is there's a lot of different reasons he could have went back to Dagestan. But so now apparently the word was that Dana White was exploring the possibility of Justin Gaethje to fight Tony Ferguson. So I think who was it? Who? I think there was another fighter, but Gaethje was supposedly Justin Gaethje had received the offer from Dana White because look, it's April 1st right now when this show's going on. If you want UFC 249 to go on, that's in 17 days. Okay, so this is crunch time right now, and you're probably either Dana White has already secured a location of where this fight is going to happen, and where athletic commissions, have not shut down any kind of combat sports, and you need less than 10 people. Just like I said in the last second to last episode. Are you going to test everyone for coronavirus? Are those people kind of quarantined in the locations? You have a production crew. There's a lot of people that go into that. I don't know how that's going to go down, but we'll see. And Dana White is insistent that this is going to happen. UFC 249. Today, April 1st, there was reports on Yahoo or out of Yahoo, and it was like MMA Junkie or something. I forget. But it was saying that Russia is allowing private flights to fly from Russia to the U.S. So that means Khabib Nurmagomedov can still go to the U.S. But there might be. I mean, this is reports. So personally, it'd be a waste of a fight. This fight has been. If this fight is postponed, Tony Ferguson. Let's put this into perspective. Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. If this gets postponed again, this will be the 5th time. Like Joey Diaz said on Joe Rogan, this fight is cursed. Whoa. It's one of the best fights that could ever be made, but it's like he said, it's cursed. Gosh, man. I don't know. So, we'll see where that goes. Is Dana White... Dana White must be having a crazy week on top of the pandemic and just trying to organize everything, and I don't know. Once again, though, is this still greedy or selfish or heroic for Dana White to still make this event happen? I don't know. I mean, there's no live events on. There's no live sports. So you got to listen to the episode, heroic or greedy. 2 episodes ago, I go a little bit more in depth with that, but I mean, I don't see the UFC doing this for free. They're still going to want to charge people, even at a discounted rate, because they're quarantined, they're at home, and that is. But it's like I want to. If golf was on, I'd probably watch that just because it's a live sporting event. I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, there's no live sports. This has never happened in the history of the United States, where everything pretty much shut down. So I don't know. So would that help bring our spirits up, our morale up as a country, as a world, there's UFC, there's MMA fans all over the world, or is it just still greedy and selfish to use this pandemic, use all this you're forced at home to stay at home, a lot of people, and then you're craving something live, a live sporting event, and you're like, oh, there's a pay-per-view. We have to buy it. We have to buy it. There's people out of work. People are not getting paid. Like I said earlier, small businesses, they've had to shut down. A lot of people out of work, and they're scrambling to see what they can do, what kind of money they can get. I don't know. I think there's a little bit of both. But you guys tell me in comments or anything else, all right? So, COVID-19 update. So, looking at Yahoo News today, looks like Rebecca Corey is providing live updates for, and I quote, live updates tracking the coronavirus pandemic from Yahoo News reporters in the United States and around the world. So, according to, and I'm quoting from Rebecca Corey, according to traffic according to tracking from Johns Hopkins, there are more than 911,000 coronavirus cases and 45,000 deaths worldwide. Oh my gosh, that is a lot, and it's growing every day, guys. We like they're saying everywhere. We have not even hit the peak yet. So, the U.S. leads the world with more than 203,000 confirmed cases as of Wednesday. There are more than 4,400 deaths in the U.S., surpassing the death total from 9/11. The UN Secretary General warned that the pandemic is the most challenging crisis the world has faced since World War II. Confirmed coronavirus cases in Spain rose above 100,000 as it recorded its biggest one-day death toll from the outbreak on Wednesday, with the second largest death toll in the world. The United Kingdom saw its biggest daily jump yet as the death toll surpassed 2,000. So, what I'll tell everyone right now is please be careful. Only go to the store if you're quarantined. If you're not, an essential business worker, just stay safe. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. I found out today that the wineries, if you live where there's any wineries or distilleries, call them. See, because there's wineries and distilleries right here around where I live. That I asked this question on the Nextdoor app. Nextdoor is not paying me, and but right now there's a lot of people using it because they're some people need things, like I can't go, and then someone will offer their services to go to the grocery store for someone that's a little older or maybe they're hurt. I don't know. Looking to trade stuff. A lot of people helping each other out on there. A lot of good communication from the people from that live around you. So check out the Nextdoor app. Make one of those. So that's where I was able to find that information. Ask, they told me some pharmacies and some other places around me that have these things that I need. I do need hand sanitizer. If you don't have any, Clorox or, any kind of disinfectant spray, Lysol or anything like that, you can make your own. You can make it your own. It's a recipe from the CDC. It's on their website. If you don't believe me, and it's for 1 gallon of water, it's 1/3 cup of bleach. You mix that up, and it makes like. I think it makes like a good, 5 spray bottles, like empty spray bottles that you can get like at Lowe's or something. All right, so please be careful. Wear gloves if you can get latex gloves or nitrile gloves or any kind of gloves. If you go to the store, do that. Wear a mask. At first it was they were telling us not to, but what if someone sneezes around the corner and there's droplets in the air? Not everybody covers their mouth, so you don't inhale that because this is a respiratory disease. Just be careful, and then see if you have hand sanitizer inside your spray the inside of your car with that bleach spray or disinfectant, especially if you're an essential worker. You're going outside, you're touching all this stuff that you just touched inside the store or at your work, unless you're wearing gloves at your work. Try to get some. I don't know what else to tell you though, but just be safe. God bless, and we'll keep the show going, and that's it. I mean, everyone stay safe. All right, we'll get through this together. You can follow me on Twitter, Moruso71, MORUSO71. Follow Trilosophy on Instagram at Trilosophy. Trilosophy.com. TRYLOSOPHY.com. I'm your host, Noel Muro. Stay safe out there. Subscribe, like, leave a review, please. That helps tremendously.